Warning, this video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest in capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all.
Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today I mostly want to point at a couple of Bitcoin charts, and I'm going to try to keep it short, and those are my famous last words. Normally that means we're going in deep for 20 minutes, but sometimes I talk just for the sake of talking. So, anyway, first of all, shout out Crypto El Prez here. Check out what we've seen so far, okay? 21.37% dip, just like here, 21%, just like here, 21%, just under 20, and just over 22. So as you can see, right, good chance that perhaps this is enough, and perhaps we have a chance at some relief. Got a nice chart here that kind of fits that idea from Cred. Cred is a Elliott wave guy, and you can see he's kind of calling for this, right? A impulse up to this kind of, what would that be, around 70 to 72-ish neighborhood, and then perhaps we might have to entertain one final rollover, according to Cred, down here to sweep these lows, and that would put us somewhere in the, I don't know, 55 to 57k range. So we certainly could, in my opinion, do something like this and then go. But the reason I like this is I always like the way that Elliott wave guys have confluence and overlap with the cycles. So like I said, Cred's saying that we could probably see these 5 waves up and then perhaps a sweep of these lows, and then we can start a true impulse a bit later on. And if we did something like this, what would that be from a cycle perspective? Well, that would just be a 60-day consolidation cycle, right? With the classic fake out failed cycle right in the middle around the half cycle low point. Also of note, if we did something like this, okay, and then ended up somewhere sideways into that cycle low and go, then that would just be exactly what that fractal that I have on my Bitcoin chart, which we'll see at the end, has been suggesting the whole time. In fact, just so there's no confusion, here it is, right? So we trade around sideways, fake out failed cycle, chop around, cycle low somewhere around the middle to the 3rd week of May, and then we begin that impulse up. So as I said, I like it when the Elliott wave guys show confluence with the cycle theory that I use to trade. Peter Brand here saying we could be undergoing a hump, slump, bump, rump, pump, and dump. So, yeah, as silly as this sounds, right, it's essentially this A, B, C, D, E, and then we go. And again, all of this kind of fits with that idea that I've showed you for the cycles and for the Elliott wave guys. If you believe the data, then the jobless claims, not too bad, okay? Not too bad as of yesterday's release. There are a few things I'm looking out for in the short to medium term, which is the US Treasury is quickly offering $500 billion in new issuances of largely short-term debt. So this will take a bite out of what remains in the reverse repo, offering liquidity to a fragile market for now at least. So will this be stimulative enough to force those cycle lows? And something else that I'm largely going to say for the weekend's deep dive is strange things are happening with USM2. Okay, if we zoom in on this, you can see we've got a death cross. Okay, we've got a significant top in M2, a snapback for now at least, and if you use a 36-month moving average and a 12-month moving average, we've got a death cross. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to mostly save my discussion and deep dive for the weekend as always, but if you know, you know, and if you don't know, tune in tomorrow and I will go into it in more detail. So with that said, I see a lot of people calling for this to be the top in the dollar. I'll believe it when I see it. Nobody wants this rollover more than me, but like I said, for now, and I've been saying over and over again, the thing looks bullish. Gold is toying with me at the moment. So I'm not sure if this is a 20-day cycle low. I'm not sure if that's it. I know some people seem to think that is. That's not typical. It's very unusual to see something like this. And so I still kind of maintain that I'm looking for this 2 drive. Something like this would be much more reasonable. It'd certainly be easier to identify and easier to trade out of. I am on guard in case this thing starts to rip to the upside, and I'll show you why. I've seen a similar setup to this before, where we got this kind of timing-based cycle low right here. Okay, so we formed the cycle low. Let's use this one. Okay, here's the cycle low. Notice there's no clear cycle low here. Okay, but somewhere in the middle, there had to be a cycle low because we get a timing-based cycle low. And then you can see we roll over and eventually make a obvious pivot point, an obvious swing, and an obvious cycle low. But somewhere in the middle here, there was indeed a timing-based cycle low. For those of you that have got the PDF on cycles, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But this feels, at the moment at least, eerily familiar to that. And so if we do start to tear out of here higher, I do want to be getting in on some kind of trend line break. For now, though, patiently sitting here, hoping for some kind of 2 drives pattern to come in, because like I said, that'd be really easy to identify. And I should imagine into next week, particularly in the members section, we're going to have a bunch of minor exposure and some other things in the precious metals markets. The stock market is still yet to find a cycle low, but we are getting into that neighborhood now, in my humble opinion, where we ought to see one any day now. This is day 40. We could run as late as day 44, and that would still be perfectly legal and qualifying. If this starts to become slightly more extreme in the short term, then we can extend 44 days. But the good news is, especially for those of you that have been following me for a little while, you know that I was talking about a couple of scenarios here, right? It's talking about this idea that we have an orderly walk down and go, and that would be not ideal because we would have to be open to seeing another full daily cycle and then end up entertaining this as potentially the weekly cycle low. But I was saying what we could hope for in the best case scenario was some kind of a sharp V-shaped plunge, because that would be easily identifiable as a weekly cycle low. If I hop onto the weekly time frame, you can see, you know, if it takes on this structure in yellow, then that would be a clear identifiable weekly cycle low, and we would look for a big strong green candle to come out of there. So in the short term, I'm actually hoping that we get much more of a sort of capitulative sell-off, looking for a V-shaped reversal, and then I think I can be very confident that we've found a weekly cycle low ready to move higher. An observation of mine that I think is worth pointing out is, keep in mind, this has been the most angriest, most doubted, most shorted, most hated rally ever. It's been so salty and toxic the whole way up, and a lot of that is because this rally made no sense whatsoever. When we were at the lows, everyone was doing posting and thinking that we were only halfway down and there was way more to go, and then the next thing you know, we're putting in the second angle, or about to set this second angle, and things have been pretty wild, things have been pretty crazy. A lot of people did not catch the bulk of this move. And I think this is important because what I am now interpreting based on this current pullback is all those people that missed out on a large chunk of this are now hoping that they get some kind of big extended 10% decline, something like we had back here, and then they can load up the truck lower down. But I think what we're going to see is this not be anywhere near the type of standard depth of correction that we're used to seeing during truly corrective phases for the stock market. And instead, I think when we find this swing in the next few days, assuming I'm right about this, assuming we find a swing and assuming we come firing off, I think you're going to see capitulation to the upside. I think everyone that missed this entire rally is going to have to throw in the towel. I think everyone that has missed this the whole way up, when they see, let's assume we get something like that V that I was talking about, by the time we're in this neighborhood, they are going to throw in the towel, in my opinion. They're going to chase this thing higher, and they're going to go, no, I cannot afford to miss out on this blow off top, this insanely strong market, this up only market that won't give us the 10 to 15% corrections that we want to see. If this only ends up being something like 4-6%, something like that, if this only ends up being about 4 to 6% of a dip and then it snaps back, I do think we're going to see everyone flood into this market, and I think that is probably what's going to drive this final leg higher. So I'm noticing right now the setup is quite nice in terms of sentiment. We're seeing a lot of people that were very bullish just recently now posting this is the top, right? Sell in May and go away, and we're going to have all of this kind of downside for a long time. And I think if the market decides to just snap back out of this cycle low, like I've been suspecting it will do, then like I said, I do think we're going to see capitulation to the upside. I think we're going to see this buying rampage, and I think that is probably what's going to set this third and final angle. So this is certainly, if I'm right about this, not a move to be missed. As always, the risk has to be managed. We have to make sure that we don't go stabbing in the dark. We've got a good area on the chart to manage the risk around. All of that same stuff applies. But if I am right about this, then, you know, we're about to go into bananas mode. I've been waiting for this a long time, and I think we are probably finally about here. And then last but not least, Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things, right? Following, roughly speaking, my yellow consolidation fractal. This is not unusual behavior. You know, we saw a 60-day consolidation cycle back here. We've also seen this one from back here. It goes through a few of these, right? There's one here, a sideways one, there's one here, right? It does this often. It does this, and this is just Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things, particularly with this unique nuance that is the fake out failed cycle for Bitcoin in the middle. So normal cycle theory, of course, would tell us to expect a rollover and a lower low. Certainly can't rule that out, but Bitcoin likes to just upset everyone. Maybe it's going to do something more like this. Either way, for now, this fractal is still the base case. I think this cycle low is, when it shows up, going to be the opportunity. I think this is where we go into bananas mode for Bitcoin. I think this is finally where all of those crypto related equities start to put in their near vertical angles. I think this is the final opportunity, unless I'm flat wrong about the left translation and the blow off top, and unless the stock market starts to base, unless we come out of here and start to base even more or trend down, or unless we see some kind of, I don't know, cycle that takes this shape and then another cycle thereafter. Okay, if we do indeed put in this consolidation cycle and come tearing out of here, by the time we're here, I think for me it's going to be confirmed that we are indeed putting in that blow off top. We are indeed going to see a left translated cycle. And like I said, I think there's going to be insane performance in a very short period of time, as would be normal and to be expected at the top of a blow off top. So it's a wild time to be alive for sure. Overall, as you can see, I've been saying the same things over and over again. There is no change as it currently stands. I will be coming back over the weekend, like I said, to do a deep dive. I'm going to be talking about this whole M2 thing, so look out for that. If you're a level 3 member, look out for the members video, of course, and potentially some buy signals. I don't tend to like to buy positions and take new positions on a Friday, but if for some reason we get an enormous green candle in the stock market today, then I will be thinking about taking a position. I would largely suspect we're going to get a little bit of confirmation today and then look to be a buyer on Monday. I would think that's going to be my position. Still keeping an eye on gold as well, so look out for that. And for Bitcoin, I really do think what we're going to need to see now is everything lead higher, and Bitcoin will probably have to continue to do a month of chop, which will really upset a lot of people. This is a highly emotional market. The crypto space is different, right? It's built different, but like I said, I think we're only about a month away from finding that cycle low. And if I am right, if we are going to go left translated, if we are going to have that blow off top, then we should be expecting absolute fireworks out of the next cycle low. If, of course, I'm wrong, and of course, I'm happy to be wrong. If the market is going to prove me wrong, I'm happy to just pivot my stance and adjust to a changing market. But if we get to this cycle low like this, and instead of come swinging out of here like I expect, we actually start to do lukewarm or worse coming out of here, then I would say we could pretty much have a significant shift in probability that we will not be seeing a left translated cycle, right? If it's going to be left translated is now. So if it's going to make its way to this cycle low and start going vertical, then that doesn't look anything like a right translated cycle, right? If it starts to do something like this, then I am going to be more certain of my idea than ever before. But like I said, if we start to do something like this and trade down or sideways, then by the time we've gone another 60-day cycle without clearing this high, I think we could breathe a sigh of relief that we're not going to have this early top. We're not going to have an extended bear market. We're not going to have to entertain trading double pumps, which are really difficult to deal with. And instead, we can just kind of sit back and relax and enjoy a much more gradual build up to a right translated cycle top, which should be, in theory, much higher in price than a left translated cycle, and also much easier to sell near the top of, because we will have the confluence with the cycle count as well. So the next couple of weeks, months are going to be very, very big. And as ever, I'll just keep taking it one day at a time. I'll keep repeating myself until something changes, and I'll keep doing my best to stay on the right side. Until next time, enjoy your Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. Look out for tomorrow's videos, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Cheers. Bye.